In the previous installment of our Power and Property series, former Isle of Man politician Juan Turner opened up a debate about the controversial issue of failing infrastructure development on the Isle of Man. Since then, we have been contacted by several viewers who have brought to our attention examples of big-ticket projects that have been talked up by the Isle of Man government, but then mysteriously never happened. Here's our timeline going back over 20 years. 2006, the Isle of Man government announced a new Lord Street development. Good news, but it never happened. In another part of the capital, Douglas, the remnants of Summerland Holiday Park, which suffered a horrific fire disaster in the 1970s, is demolished. Hopes run high for a new building. Unfortunately, this will never happen either. The 3.81-acre site at Summerland finally goes on sale in 2008, categorized as a prime development site. A proposal by the Sefton Group for a new leisure centre at Summerland called The Wave is put forward in 2009, but again this never happened. In 2010, the Summerland deal collapsed and the government proposed to sell the land again. In 2013, the Isle of Man government announced a new Lord Street development, but again this never happened. Also in 2013, demolition work begins on the Park Road School building in the centre of Douglas. Ideas abound to repurpose the site for affordable housing, but this never happened. In 2014, a government design of the proposed new Lord Street development is unveiled. The concept informed and inspired developers to put in tenders to make the dream come true. One such enterprise, known as the North Quay Consortium, represented by Sondika Group Limited, stayed faithful to the design and included the winter garden feature. It never happened. Today, the North Quay Consortium, represented by Sondika Group Limited, is suing the Isle of Man government and their consultants, Lambert Smith Hampton. Also in October 2014, the Isle of Man government boasted that investors were keen on their master plan to redevelop Lord Street. The all-weather winter garden is hyped again, but the building never happened and is now subject to a £90 million court case. In December 2015, once again, the Isle of Man government announced big news on the Lord Street development. The Chief Minister boasted that, unlike previous projects in 2006 and 2013, he was confident that this scheme would go ahead. The Isle of Man government was confident of making the Tynwald's approved master plan a reality. However, the plan never happened. Though the Chief Minister doesn't name the interested party, the identity is known behind the scenes as the North Quay Consortium with Sondika Group Limited. Meanwhile, at Summerland, also in 2015, it appeared a deal was about to be done for the land, which also never happened. The preferred bidder then went into administration and the Summerland site at the far end of the Douglas Promenade went back on the market, where it has remained since. Within months, the optimism has evaporated. The long-awaited latest Lord Street development has suffered a setback. However, little do the residents know that the delay is terminal and the project will never happen. April 2016. The article reveals that the development has stopped because of a red tape setback, specifically that the developer's approach is inconsistent with the procurement process. Readers now know that the Lord Street development will never happen. The North Quay Consortium, represented by Sondika Group Limited, later rejected the government's excuse and are suing the Department of Infrastructure and their advisors, LSH, for malfeasance, misrepresentation and negligent advice in the tendering process, allegations which the defendants deny or do not admit. In May 2016, following their climb down over the latest Lord Street development bid, the Isle of Man government are forced to advertise for new investors to come forward, inviting building companies to submit fresh plans. The initiative inevitably failed and the Lord Street development never happened. The infrastructure minister said that the new process would ensure the best possible value to the taxpayer. This turned out to be wrong. There was no value in the project and the building never happened. In March 2017, the exasperation of Isle of Man residents is summed up in the headline of the newspaper that has covered the Lord Street rollercoaster from the beginning. However, the new plan never happened. The front page revealed that the work was validated by an external specialist. Both the external specialist, a blue-chip commercial property consultancy firm called Lambert Smith Hampton, and the Isle of Man government are now being sued for £90 million by Sondika Group, the lead developer of the North Quay Consortium. In March 2017, following the Isle of Man government's announcement of yet another new plan for Lord Street, the latest in a long line of faltering developments, the headline in the Manx Independent sums up the public's view on the matter. Lord Street, we've heard it all before. The politician who expressed his cynicism in a quote in the story turned out to be right. The Lord Street complex never happened. 2018, the front page headline was optimistic. A developer called Kane Limited claimed Lord Street would be built into a cinema, a hotel, flats and bars. This never happened. In February 2018, the Chief Minister said, "We don't want this to be like other administrations where plans have been announced and never happened." Unfortunately, his plans never happened. The site area in the graphic is still a car park, and the alleged mistakes under his administration have led to a £90 million court case being launched. In January 2019, the headline, "They Misled Us Over Lord Street," is a summary of a court case launched by developers North Quay Consortium, represented by the Syndica Group Limited, the Department of Infrastructure, the Isle of Man Treasury, and their consultants, Lambert Smith Hampton Limited. The quayside facilities never happened. But why? Syndica was initially chosen for the bid, but then the offer was withdrawn a month later. Syndica are claiming breach of tendering process, breach of contract, negligent misstatement and misfeasance in public office, which the defendant denies or does not admit, and 6 years later, the £90 million case has still not settled. The Isle of Man government's plan never happened, but Deemster Call It ruled that the Syndica Group had a potential and arguable cause of action. January 2019. The headline reads, "Dispute over whether the government promised to underwrite development." Syndica Group Limited asked the court why their development never happened. July 2019. An unrelated story is published about the generic contracts failure on the Isle of Man. The government of the Isle of Man is sued for £90 million by the property developers North Quay Consortium, represented by Syndica Group Limited, for an alleged misstatement which led to claims that the tender process was bungled. This led to the judge ruling that the case could proceed. However, the Department of Infrastructure appealed the decision, but lost. The Lord Street development at the centre of the case never happened. 2022. In 2022, stories came out questioning what was going on with the Summerland site, and the Park Road School plans are abandoned for a new school on the site. In 2023, the Department of Infrastructure is accused of negligence over the Lord Street development, which never happened. The Department of Education, Sport and Culture retains the site that the Park Road School was on and option a new school. Also in 2023, the legal wrangle on the Lord Street development, which never happened, continued. In 2024, though the £90 million court case over the Lord Street development, which never happened, rumbles on in the background, yet another new plan is hatched to finally build on the site. In 2024, the headline tells the story of a new plan. However, residents are skeptical as for 20 years repeatedly fresh plans have resulted in a building which never happened. Also, the Education Minister said that the former high school Park Road School could be part of the solution for a new primary facility for the area. But Joni Farragher, MHK, said it really shouldn't be left undeveloped 11 years after the former school's demolition. In January 2025, the latest hearing before Deemster Call It confirmed that the £90 million court case is going to trial later this year.